Dude, what is with you? All right.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Taste Like Music. Jason, Joe, and Crams are here, and this week is the 50th anniversary of the release of Joni Mitchell's classic album For the Roses. And in celebration of that, we are going to rank the album's 12 tracks from our least favorite to our most favorite. We're going to go around in a circle like we do during the album ranking videos and give you the bottom one first and so on from there. So yeah, let's get into it. Who's kicking us off?
Who's the bigger Joni fan? It's either me or Joe. I don't think we'll really know until we do a all-time favorite artist, but I think me and Joe are pretty close one. Now, Jason's obviously the outlier.
I think it's Cram. Cram feels like the bigger Joni fan to me.
I think, what did you have this in our 72 video? Where did it rank for you?
I think it was like number 7 or 8.
Here, mine was 10, so I think it was ahead of mine. So
All right.
you go last. You go last. Clean it all up. You're batting clean up here. I'll go first. We'll do the Joe, Jason, Cramser. My number 12, I got the title track For the Roses, the closer for side one. I don't know. I just always feel like there's a little bit of a lull in the middle there. I think it's strongest on the margins, and I didn't even really write anything for this. I just rated each song, and this one happened to be at the bottom, so I didn't really remember much about it. So nothing turned me on this.
You weren't turned on like a radio?
No, I'm missing that radio.
All right, bottom for me. I've got Banquet, the opener, piano and voice only, and it's not my favorite vocals of hers, and I don't think the melody's very strong. So that's why it's at the bottom. And I guess I should point out, if you haven't seen our Joni Mitchell ranking video, this is like the end of the period. This is like right before I start liking Joni more. So I'm not crazy about a lot of her vocals on this record. I think as she goes into her jazzier phase and her poppier phase with Court and Spark and then Hissing of Summer Lawns, that's really kind of the Joni Mitchell mode that I like. And this is just not quite there yet for me. So I will complain about the vocals a lot on this in this video. Just brace yourselves.
My number 12 is the closer of the entire album. And keep in mind, I don't dislike any of these songs. Judgment of the Moon and Stars, I think it's really pleasant. I mean, at the worst on this album, Joni's in top form. I think the lyrics are strong. I don't think there's a bad word written on this entire album, but I do think it's one of her weaker compositions. And like her strength is also kind of her weakness at the same time. And I think she goes a little bit too far on this song into kind of that rambling free prose style where it feels a little bit disconnected between the piano playing and the vocals. So I'm going number 12, Judgment of the Moon and Stars.
Okay. Like I was saying, the middle isn't my favorite. I think it's all good. I don't think there's a weak track on here, which is why I did bump it up to 5 stars for 72. It just sort of, these middle ones kind of run together a little bit. I have Lesson in Survival as my number 11. It's pretty and it's understated, but I mean, after those, I mean, the first three tracks I think are all spectacular. Banquet, Cold Blue Steel, and Sweet Fire, and Bar and Grill. And then you kind of get like a little softer. It's a change up. It's nice. It's sort of, um, palate cleanser, a little bit, a little folksier, back to her roots. And it's good. Not a bad song, just not one that really stands out.
That is also my number 11, Lesson in Survival, another solo piano tune. So for me, those are the weakest tracks here, the ones that are just piano and voice. I think there's a pretty big difference here between the parts where she's singing like deeper and when she goes up into the higher falsetto range. Yeah, I think it's a little bit better than Banquet, but not much.
I got Lesson in Survival coming up shortly, but my number 11 is Blonde in the Bleachers. I still like it. I don't think it has a whole lot going on compared to the other stuff, and I actually think the drums and the bass coming in is slightly awkward, and I don't really like the drum sound on this. I don't think it fits. It's a little bit too like raw rock band for this sound. The snare really punches, and does not kind of have the warm feeling that everything else on the album has. But I don't want anyone to think I'm criticizing these songs. I'm just finding ways to rank them. I would lose my shit if anyone like covered any of these songs in front of me. So that's what I got for number 11.
All right, number 10, I'm gonna go with Electricity, which despite its title is another folky, laid back, not a ton going on. One that just is a pleasant song, but the lyrics don't really stand out to me, and the playing doesn't really stand out to me either. So it's good. It's a part of the whole. This, I think, more than any other Joni album, might be the most evenly distributed as far as like nothing is like a complete all-timer for me. But nothing would fall under an 8. I think this is her most just complete album, probably, of all of them.
Nothing under an 8.
No, I think this is her most consistent album, like I just said, Jason.
But yeah, I think it's consistent too, but I don't get to an 8. My number 10 is Electricity also. So we're lining up a bit there. You get some bass and percussion, so it's a little bit more, musically interesting than the solo piano tracks. But as a song, it doesn't do a ton for me. Just pretty plain. There you go.
My number 10 is Lesson in Survival, so I'm not too far off. And you guys, I do think it's a little bit lost in what I was kind of criticizing with Judgment of the Moon and Stars, when she kind of has, that vocal and piano combo. At times it's brilliant, and at times it's only very good. And this is a very good song, but I do think it's lost a little bit. New love toward the end when she goes up and goes on about the neon light burning out, but it's kind of the highlight of the song for me.
Right. My number 12, 11, 10, 9. Woman of Heart and Mind. And despite, I really like the guitar on this. Joni doesn't always go back to like those weird tunings that sound like, going to California, because she inspired that track, obviously. So I'm not saying she's ripping off Zeppelin or anything, but like those kind of weird rock folk chords that only she came up with all her weird tunings and stuff. So this song harkens back to that, but other than the guitar, I don't find anything too stand out about it.
Well, my number 9 is one that I think people love, but I just do not really get that much, and it's Bar and Grill. I don't know. It's fine. I think some of the orchestrations from Tom Scott are pretty cool. Some of the like woodwind and stuff that he does on there. But that's the highlight for me. I think that outshines the song. So number 9, Bar and Grill.
All right, my number 9 is Woman of Heart and Mind. And this is kind of a separation for me between 10, 11, and 12. And now I think these are like really, really friggin' good tracks. I love Woman of Heart and Mind. I really love the pace and the bass. And I especially love the sincerity on this one. I love when she's like, I'm just another silly girl when love makes a fool of me and all that. The lyrics are really just kind of the strength of this album. And I love her singing. Like, I've been trying to find a way to imitate the way she sings and the way she kind of just flutters about, and it's so hard because it's so unique to her. And yeah, I think it's great, but it's only number 9.
All right, my number 8's gonna be Judgment of the Moon and Stars. I just think the sonic variety here, um, a lot of sparseness, obviously, on Joni Mitchell albums in general. This one expands the sound nicely. And on Judgment, which is the final track, you get some really nice strings. You get that flute that comes in, brightens things up. Just one, it's something that makes your ears perk up a little bit when you hear that kind of arrangement. So there it is.
Number 8 for me is See You Sometime. I think this is kind of like the most middle of the road track here. I think I start to feel a little more favorably about the tracks after this, going from 7 and up. But this one is just, I don't know. I just wrote okay song. That was about as much as I could even muster up for this one.
Dude, what is with you? All right. My number 8, I've got Banquet. I actually really like it as an opener. I think it sets a tone for the entire album. I think there's great piano, and I think it has this cool kind of like all-American feel, a bit of like the plight of the working class feel, and then she kind of gets deeper into the album with her more personal anecdotes. So yeah, I think it's a good opener and a good song.
Number 7's gonna be "Let the Wind Carry Me." On a lot of these songs, Joni's sort of like giving up that chase. She's giving up the chase, romance, settling down. I think the lyrics here are very poignant. She has some really nice saxophone, the yearning, crying vocals, jazzy piano. It just has like everything you want in a Joni Mitchell song. And obviously, I'm with Cranzer. I think her vocals are just spectacular. And this is kind of the last time you'll get like those really flights of fancy, because she does start to tone it down a little bit on Port Spark, which was her next album. So I treasure these moments of just wild, just woo. I don't know where she's going. The whoops and wails. Love it.
Number 7 for me is Judgment of the Moon and Stars. I think it's an okay song, but I do really like the middle section. The arrangement is pretty cool there from Tom Scott, bringing some, at least, musical interest to the proceedings.
All right, my number 7 is not as high as most people would have it, but I've got Baron Grill. It's got that big high pitched lead with the guitar and the strings kind of sound. And I really like it because it's got that kind of ghostly Neil Young kind of quality to it. When those guitars come in, and this sounds like it's coming like from heaven, like a dark version of heaven in like the corner of a bar. And I think that's kind of the one thing that this album is missing a little bit compared to Blue is like I want some more of that loner kind of quality to it. Like I think she's a little bit coming to terms with stuff on this album compared to Blue. But that's not what we're talking about. That's why I've got Baron Grill right here.
My number 6 is also Bar and Grill, and love the woodwinds, love the jazzy guitar. I like how the woodwinds really accentuate the lows, and I just think the lyrics are fantastic. I love sort of like the overhearing the waitresses and just her word choices and just the way the story like flows feels really natural to me. Like it feels like she's really just like overhearing this, these conversations in a bar and grill. And I just think it's great, but there's greater still.
My number 6 is Blonde on the Bleachers. Love when the band drops in. It kind of changes the whole feel of the song, and it feels so good. I wish more of the record wasn't Joni solo, because just having that subtle like rhythm section, drum and bass falling in neatly behind her just really elevates it. So yeah, I dig it. Blonde on the Bleachers.
All right, my number 7, I've got Electricity. I think there's a really cool electric kind of buzz, especially with the backing vocals, with the ooze. And I love the percussion and the deep bass. It's kind of got that juxtaposition between this and the more piano, like heartfelt stuff. And I think there's a really nice presence on the acoustic guitar as well. It's subtle, but there's really good arrangements on this album. Electricity, number 7. Or really good arrangements on this song, excuse me, and the album.
Number 5, You Turn Me On, I'm a Radio. Another one, great lyrics, just really clever. Lots of, puns and double entendres and, whatever those other words are for clever lyric writing. She's got it all on this one. And, some really nice backing vocals. Another one with like the guitar that's like, okay, this is like Jimmy Page ripped this off. And I love it. But that style that's just so unique to her. Like as soon as you hear it, I mean, you don't even need to hear her singing, which is another dead giveaway for who it is. But that guitar only can be played by her. Got some nice harmonica in there as well.
All right, my number 5 is the title track For the Roses, acoustic tune, probably one of the folkiest songs on the record. I think the chord progression is really cool. And I think just in general, I like her songwriting more when she's on guitar than when she's on piano. I think it's a little more interesting. And the way she plays with tunings and stuff is really cool. So yeah, number 5.
My number 5 is See You Sometime. I think it's really relatable. I think this is one of her more just like accessible pieces of songwriting, especially lyrically. Wanting to still see someone despite the heartache is pretty much something that everyone's gone through It's a real ego booster. I love like the pride in her voice when she says, "My friend said I'm still looking fine" or whatever. Like it's just really good classic Joni pouring her heart out. It's not like one of her more complex compositions, which I think she is underrated for. I think she writes really cool songs and chord progressions, but this one just has so much heart in it, and it's my number five.
My number four is going to be probably your number ones, but Cold Blue Steel and Sweet Fire. The slippery vocals, I think that's a word Kramser used. I liked it. And, slippery. I forget who used it. Maybe I stole it from somebody else. But they're up and down. They're all over the place, singing about James Taylor's heroin addiction. But you get some great saxophone on there. There's a great jazzy feel all over this. A little electric guitar in there as well from James Burton. So it's interesting to hear a song with electric guitar and sax and like no drums and percussion really. Like it's there, but is it there? I don't even know. I don't think there's like anything there. So that's cool. It's a unique arrangement and instrumentation choice for a song. So great tune. Cold Blue Steel, Sweet Fire.
My number four is Let the Wind Carry Me. I like the way it kind of comes right out of Lesson in Survival. You got Tom Scott back with more arrangement stuff added to this track. I like the Bada backing vocals and the way the sax kind of responds to that, which I think is a pretty cool choice. And yeah, I just think it's one of the more interesting arrangements on the record. Let the Wind Carry Me.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's one of the more interesting compositions. I think the sax is so awesome. It's got that kind of dark, icy piano. I think it's kind of different mood wise than most of the other tracks on this album. And she's got a lot of conviction. She's almost kind of like meaner on this song in like the realm of the song or of the album at least. And I love the whole "she don't like" lines and the movie queen and all that. Like she's really expressing herself on this. But Jason's right. It's just got one of the more interesting pieces of songwriting here. And I think the piano part is just awesome. So Let the Wind Carry Me, number four.
Number three is going to be Banquet. I don't know what Jason's talking about. I love her piano playing. And I love just the na 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 na. Like that melody throughout's great. The lyrics are fantastic. So smart, so unique, the word choices. I prefer the piano stuff to the acoustic guitar stuff personally. So well, it ranks very highly. This is a great opener. It throws you right into it. Fantastic. Banquet rules.
My number three is Woman of Heart and Mind. I think it's got a really cool guitar part, and I think it's got easily one of the strongest melodies on the record. So that's all it takes. Strong melody, which this record lacks in most places.
Eat a Big. You Turn Me On a Radio is my number three. I love the more Americana feel on here, adding the harmonica, even leading off with the lyrics like "I'm driving into town," and you just get like that middle America gas station pickup kind of feel to it. And the little pickup into the chorus is awesome. I love how it opens up beautifully in like the first time they do it. She talks about "I'm a wildfire," but like when you get those oohs and all that, really country-esque. I love the fade out with the "Call Me Up." The lines are open. I just think it's a really clever Americana ballad, and I love it.
My number two is going to be See You Sometime. I think the melody is fantastic on this. Joni's delivery, I think, is incredibly good. Like it starts off with like so much fire and confidence, and then it seems like it slowly erodes over like by the time she gets to the later lyrics, "I'm feeling so good, all my friends all tell me I'm looking fine." Like she's trying to convince herself, and she's sort of like, well, when can I see you again? By the bridge, she's saying "pack your suspenders," which is a James Taylor reference. "I'll come meet your plane." It's kind of like she's like falling apart and trying to like convince herself not to go back, but just the way it kind of comes out and in her vocals especially is just really great. I mean, it's a sad story that kind of comes apart, and she's just singing it so well. that it all makes sense. Like she's using her voice as a way to get the lyrics across in a way maybe that they're not written. So she's, kind of double dealing with her lyrics and her actual meaning, which I think is really cool.
My number 2 is Cold Blue Steel and Sweet Fire. It's got all the things that I want in a Joni track. It's acoustic based. It's got the drums and bass in there. I think the hard pan guitars are really nice. It's got the Tom Scott woodwinds. Just a more fuller arranged sound with a good song attached to it. So yeah, that's my number 2.
My number 2 is the title track, For the Roses. I'm more with Jason on this one. I think there's so much melancholy in it, but like through this kind of more chipper kind of lens, like put your best foot forward kind of feel to it. I think it's really kind of like this song about bravery. I think there's a lot going for it, and I think the lyrics are just brilliant. There's so many cool things about the lyrics. I like how she kind of bookends I heard it in the wind last night with the beginning and the end, and there's just so many cool lines, like in some office it's a poet, and finely tuned like fancy women. She's talking about the rev of motors and all that. I just think it's one of her best showcases of pure songwriting, without the instrumentation really taking over. So For the Roses, my number 2.
All right, that brings us to number 1. It's the only song left. I got Blonde in the Bleachers. I think it's, Joni giving up the chase. It's, putting down the whatever. What's a symbolic thing for a single woman? I don't know. Whatever. She's putting on the ring here. She's saying, I'm giving up, the allure of romance. I'm settling down. No more James Taylor affairs. No more, no more blue. Blue's over. It's, moving on to more mature and adult and married things. So, and when the rock band kicks in, it's just like one of those like, what the hell's going on kind of moments that really just sticks with you.
All right, my number 1, my favorite song on For the Roses is You Turn Me On, I'm a Radio. I think there's a lot of really cool vocal arrangement stuff on this track, and I also think it's the poppiest song on the record. I think it's the one song on this record that feels like it could be on Court and Spark, which is just a sound I prefer more for her. And yeah, I like it. It's a good song.
All right, the best song on this album is Cold Blue Steel and Sweet Fire. That guitar just part is so heavy for Joni Mitchell. Like, if I can say that, if that makes sense. Like, it's so icy. And then, like, just the way her vocals just open everything up. Like, it's this dark, pensive, tight little number that she just brings to life, like, just in like this motherly fashion where she's like nurturing this dark ass composition, and then her voice comes in so bright and so beautiful, and it's about such a dark thing about addiction and all that. And yeah, I love it. I think it's just the best contrast. I think it's the best she's got to offer. That's the best song. It's one of the best songs from 1972.
All right, well, thanks for checking in on the video. Let us know what you think of Joni Mitchell and what you think of For the Roses and how you rank all of these tracks. Be sure to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet done so, hit the bell for notifications, and check the video description for Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, website, merch, Patreon, all that good stuff. Check it out. We'll see you in the next one.